Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm bringing you this really fun IKEA DIY, or IKEA hack if you want, on a budget. I'll be transforming this IKEA full-in sink cabinet that I got for free with stuff I already have lying around at home. As you can see, this cabinet has already been customized by its previous owner, but with some fresh paint and a new top, I'll turn this IKEA full-in into a more bright and stylish cabinet for my guest room. And the cost will be close to nothing since the cabinet itself was free. I just really love repurposing, thrifting, or using what I already have at home, and if you enjoy these things as well and want to see how I do this transformation, then stick around. I'll also do a budget breakdown at the end of the video. And before we jump into things, feel free to follow me on Instagram at The Creative Stretch. As you can see, the cabinet has been painted this pink color all over the outside, but also on the inside. So the first thing I need to do is sand down the entire cabinet to make sure that the paint has a rough surface to stick on. I'm removing the doors to make the sanding process easier for myself. And I sand it all down with a 80 grit sandpaper. The purpose is not to sand off all of the pink paint, it is just to create a rough surface for the fresh paint to stick on. So you don't need to be too aggressive with this part. After I've sanded everything down, I want to make sure to wipe away all of the dust with a damp cloth before I start painting. For my paint, I bought this paint roller that is suitable for smooth surfaces and all types of paint, and also it doesn't shed any fibers, so this way I should get a really nice finish on my cabinet. I have a simple white water-based paint that has a demi-matte finish, and it has a built-in primer as well. Before pouring the paint into the tray, I want to make sure that I mix it well. And because I've had this paint lying around for a while, it has gotten very thick. So in cases like this, it's a good trick to add some water to your paint if it's water-based to thin it out slightly. Especially for a surface like this IKEA cabinet, which has a laminate surface, I want to make sure that the paint goes on in thin and smooth layers, because I don't want the paint to chip off if I apply a thick layer. I also use a small paintbrush to get in the corners of the cabinet and around the legs of the cabinet. I like the gold legs that the previous owner painted on this cabinet, so I taped these off with painter's tape and left them as is. I painted the entire cabinet with 2 coats of paint, leaving it to dry for a few hours in between. And before the third and last coat of paint, I wanted to smooth down areas where the paint went on uneven or had some air bubbles like you see here. So I went in with a very fine sandpaper of 120 grit and a sanding block to smooth it down in a few places. Be very gentle with this since you don't want to remove too much of the paint. You just want to even it and smooth it out. I went over the front of the cabinet doors with the same 120 grit sandpaper just to make sure the surface was completely smooth before the third coat of paint went on. Once I was done painting, I needed to fix the hole in the back of the cabinet. I measured it from the inside and cut out the size I needed out of an old IKEA PAX closet backboard that I saved after moving. But you could use any backboard or hardboard or plywood instead. After doing a really poor job at sawing this piece out, I pushed it into place. To attach the board and close up the gaps, you can either nail it in place or use a glue gun to glue it tight to the original backboard of the cabinet, like I do here. Then I screw the knobs and hardware back on. Again, I like the gold knobs and they match the legs, so I decided to leave them as is. But you could paint or spray paint them any color you like. Matte black legs and knobs would be a really nice look too. Finally, it is time to revamp the top of this cabinet, and this is where I think it really makes the biggest difference. I was looking for a thick board that I could use as a new top for my cabinet, and I found these 2 gray doors which I think would normally go in the IKEA Method wall cabinet. I found them at the IKEA outlet and they fit perfectly in dimensions and were really inexpensive, so I decided I would make it work. I put two up against each other, nailed them into my cabinet to hide the holes and to create a sturdy, thick new top. To fill in the gap between the two doors, I used some caulk I already had at home. This step would of course not be necessary if you just buy one whole piece of hardwood or plywood that is cut to size. Once the caulk dried fully, I added this white marble contact paper that I've had for the longest time. I've been wanting to use this in a project and I thought it would look great with this white cabinet. I start off by placing the contact paper at one end of the top and use a soft cloth to smooth it out as I go to get the flattest possible stick on the top. If you get any air bubbles, you can always take a needle and just puncture that bubble that was created. You can then smooth it over and it will get rid of that bubble in an instant. This self-adhesive foil was pretty easy to work with because if you misplaced it, it does allow you to actually lift it off and reposition it. So it was pretty forgiving. Then I just cut the excess off and fold in the corners neatly. You want to take your time with this and place some emphasis on the corners to get as clean an end result as possible. The total cost for this project was just $15 or just under 13 euro for the two doors and the paint roller, since the cabinet itself was free. If you add in the contact paper, it shouldn't be more than an additional $8 or just under 7 euro. And we're done! As always, I really hope you enjoyed watching this easy IKEA DIY on a budget and found some inspiration for how you can make use of what you already have or thrift some items and give them new life. But also some ideas on how you can customize the IKEA fill-in to match your style and home decor. If you have any requests for DIYs you want to see on my channel, then feel free to leave it in a comment below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I have a lot more home decor and DIYs like this coming up very soon. Take care and I'll see you again soon.